Have you noticed the dancing and pointing on Instagram Reels? Of course you have. That's the point. Dancing and pointing, especially women dancing and pointing, are totally attention-getting. The algorithms love it, which is why a lot of smart marketers whom I adore are dancing and pointing on Instagram because it works. And cooperating with and leveraging the power of what's working now, especially on the major social media platforms, is a really smart and good idea. I recommend that most people do it, but I sure as hell will not be doing it. In this podcast episode, I share why. So here's the question. In a world where the rules of business have been written by men, how do women entrepreneurs like us, women who want to make millions of dollars and impact millions of lives, how do we create enormous success on our terms? That's the question, and this show explores the answers. Welcome to Power Presence Position. I'm your host, Eleanor Beaton, and I'm on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who generate over $1 million per year in annual revenue. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, and leadership coach. I'm a wife, mom of 2 boys, and I'm the CEO of a 7-figure business. Stick around because on this show, you'll learn how to think, communicate, and get paid like a 7-figure CEO. Let's go. Hello and welcome to Power Presence Position. This is episode number 427. And this episode is called Why I Won't Shake My Booty for Mark Zuckerberg. I am so excited to share this. I decided to make it into a podcast episode after I got unprecedented response, like a flood of response from a post that I shared with my community recently, an article that I shared with my community on this very topic. And I thought, you know what? I need to share it with you here. So there's a ton to update you on. If you've been listening to this show, sort of the most recent episodes, you have been probably following along in the sagas. I started talking about it in September. I just was not feeling good, like really, really not feeling good. And then, as I started talking about it a little bit more, particularly because I have been hearing this from so many women entrepreneurs, started taking a look at the research, and the research is a little bit alarming, to be honest, when it comes to new data on women's mental health as a result of what's happening with the pandemic. So research that's coming out, and this is reputable research from reputable organizations, surveys of anywhere from 1,000 to 14,000 people in North America, and then other studies are showing this globally, are indicating that women are disproportionately impacted and have been disproportionately impacted from a mental health perspective from the pandemic, particularly since September. So it has really been taking a toll on women leaders and women entrepreneurs. And I can tell you, earlier this week, I hosted it was like a quick hit 30-minute open kind of webinar conversation. I sent a note to my list about it, and I did it because of what I'm seeing, in our community and in the people that I'm talking to. It's compounded by the research that women leaders, women entrepreneurs are suffering right now. So it's not everybody, of course, but many are. And we're not talking about it. And there's very specific reasons why women leaders tend to suffer in silence. We don't want to bring other people down. We very often hold women leaders to a much higher standard than their male counterparts. And we as women hold other women to exceptionally high standards, and we hold ourselves to exceptionally high standards. The higher the pedestal, the harder the fall. We've all been around the block. We don't want that. So we're keeping a lot of our pain to ourselves. And there's nothing like suffering in silence and isolation to compound the problem. So I decided I don't really have the answers to this, But I do know what makes me feel better. And I do know that one of the things that makes me genuinely feel better is knowing that I'm not alone in this. And so I decided to host this 30-minute, like I said, it was like a quick hit webinar. We had incredible women leaders. Like, these are highly educated, very experienced, very successful women from all the continents, from across North America, from Europe, from Latin America, from the Middle East, from Africa, from Australia. They were on this webinar, and what we were hearing from these powerhouse women leaders were things like, I feel so despondent. I just feel like I feel borderline depressed. Sometimes mornings I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't really want to face my clients. I don't want to face anything. I'm not feeling good. And so it was just such a powerful conversation, And here's the thing. There's a part of me that feels like saying, hey, but guys, it's okay. And, here's what to do to feel better, because that's what I'm seeing everywhere. Because as a society, we cannot take women's pain, right? As a society, we have zero time for women's pain. When women are in pain, that is so horrible and painful because we mommify, women. We need women to be strong, that we try to solve the problem immediately. So I am not about staying in this place of discomfort, nor am I going to insult your intelligence by trying to sort of force feed or spoon feed these platitudes about how to feel better. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's okay to not feel great. There's nothing wrong with you. It's very normal. What's happening worldwide, particularly with women and women leaders, is a little alarming. And it's something that I'm going to be observing and commenting on and offering my insight and my take on it. So we'll be doing stuff like the Emotional State of Women Entrepreneurs webinar, like I did earlier this week. It's not like your typical webinar where there's like these elaborate email follow-ups letting you know when it is and reminding you. We 100% do some of that stuff, but I'm doing a lot of stuff that does not have that because, quite frankly, I'm in that boat too. I don't feel 100%. And so I'm doing what I can, right? So the only way to find out about this stuff is to be on my email list. Go to leanorbeatoncom/join. And what I can share with you, if you like this show, I am unleashing in email lately. Why? I don't know. It's just this thing that I feel like doing. I have always, the written word for me has always been one of the most powerful places for me to play. And I just am really unleashing an email. So go to leanorbeaton.com/join, and you're going to be entertained, quite frankly. You're going to see why some of the most influential people in the women's entrepreneur space are on my list. They are reading every email, quietly checking it out. There's a reason why. Okay, so go check that out, leanorbeaton.com/join. And I promise you, that's where we're having conversations, very legit conversations about stuff that is impacting us. It's not Instagram airbrushed. It's not platitudes that insult your intelligence. It's real, raw, honest, vulnerable, insightful conversation. So get yourself on that list. Okay, before I move on and share why I won't be dancing and pointing on Instagram Reels and shaking my booty for Mark Zuckerberg, I have to share this amazing review. It's a 5-star review from SJS in Chicago, who says the real deal. She says, I was desperate to find guidance, encouragement, and actionable ideas for my business. I was so tired of hearing about business from the male perspective. I'd heard great information, but it didn't connect with me. So finding EB in her podcast is one of the best search results I've ever found. She brings such smarts, insights, experience, humor, and honesty to the table of female entrepreneurship. The impact she's had on my business and my personal growth as a CEO has been unparalleled. I love being at the power presence position table. Ooh, SJS, that was a good one. Thank you so much for that review. Guys, these reviews, they mean so much. So thank you so much for taking your time to share those reviews. If you've been listening to the show and you'd like to share a review, I would so appreciate it. It really helps me get this show that I produce weekly, 428 episodes later, it helps it get out into the hands of more and more women entrepreneurs. So let's talk about this. As you're listening, I'm going to read you an email that I shared with my list last week. And I swear, I'm just waiting to get banned from Instagram and Facebook. I'm just waiting to get banned for this. And like I say, I'm a marketer, right? I love marketing. And so I am cool with leveraging the power of social platforms. I do understand that because we don't pay for them, we are the product, you guys. We are the product. And so I have been having real sort of come to Jesus conversations with myself about the use of social media platforms and how I want to be using them. Quite frankly, I spend very little time on social media platforms. I am considering eliminating them completely from my life. We use them in my business to advertise. But one of the things, and one of the things that's going around in my head right now is, why am I giving money to Mark Zuckerberg when maybe I should be buying advertising or being more creative about buying sponsorships from women-owned businesses? Anyway, this is what's going on in my head. It's a totally half-baked idea, just kind of sharing it with you here. But what I'm trying to get at is the deep sense of conflict that I feel about social media. I'm not sure if you have watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix. That just sort of underscores the discomfort that I feel about social platforms. Again, I spend barely any time on them at all, and I'm very close to eliminating them almost completely from my life. So yeah, talking about that, and I may get booted off just from what I'm saying here, but I would really honestly laugh my butt off if you don't see me anymore, if our accounts get shut down. So that's why you better get on my list, by the way, leanorbeatoncom/join. Okay, so recently my colleague Denise, who knows me and my reactions to things, P.S., I'm reading my email now, okay? I'm reading my essay. My colleague Denise, who knows me and my reactions to things, recently mischievously asked me if I would make an Instagram reel anyway, because it's so good for quote unquote engagement. And others on my team were quick to pile on. This is called Slack trolling your boss. And apparently it's really great for overall morale. Anyway, I told Denise I would only dance and point on Instagram Reels if I could point using both middle fingers. The issue was quickly dropped. Listen, I don't have a problem with dancing and pointing. It's all good. And like I said off the top, it works, which is why smart people I respect are doing it. But I don't want to use my creativity to build Mark Zuckerberg's business ecosystem. I want to use my creativity to build my own business ecosystem. I call this ecosystem Safi World. There are rules, there's a language. You're in Safi World right now, and it's pretty fun. If you are reading this, or if you're listening, then you inherently know that I respect your intelligence, and I'm not here to only inform and inspire you. I'm also here to edutain you and make you smile, because we need that. Now, in Mark Zuckerberg's Instagram ecosystem, I need, like legions of women before, to get attention by dancing and pointing in order to earn whatever scraps of attention his team of evil nerd algorithm programmers care to send my way. Okay, listener, evil nerd programmer is a bit much. I totally understand that. I totally acknowledge this. But think about it. How many guys do you see dancing and pointing on Instagram Reels? Now think about how many women you see dancing and pointing on Instagram Reels, right? Just putting that out there. So continuing, in my ecosystem, I don't have to shake my booty to get attention. I can use my brain, right? I can think and be creative and form ideas and have a voice. I get to be myself. And I also get to form an actual relationship with you. This podcast is part of my ecosystem. My email list is part of my ecosystem. And on this ecosystem, it's a much more woman-friendly place. And it's a place where women like you and I belong. Besides, I can't compete on Instagram. I don't care about pretty grids. I'm not particularly visible, and I don't give two shoots about quote unquote engaging unless it's to tag my sister and brother on a hilariously and massively inappropriate post that I may well rip apart what few abs I have left laughing over. Now, when I started my coaching business from a 400 square foot studio in my backyard in the middle of nowhere, I wanted to forge my own rules and create my own possibilities. I wanted to create a world where I could be free, and that's what I still want. And this freedom, which for me includes building a social media platform agnostic ecosystem, is something I won't ever allow anyone, least of all Mark Zuckerberg, to tempt me to abandon. This ecosystem begins by finding your voice. So, sweet listener, if you are listening to this podcast, one of the things I think that has you listening to the podcast is my voice, right? Like you're here because I have a distinct voice. Well, we all do. And it's really about honing that voice, about practicing, about unleashing. I guess I'd say honing and unleashing that voice. And that is work that we do better than anybody else. So if you want support in really helping you to hone an authentic voice that is really the foundation of your ecosystem, we'd love to help you with that. And honestly, the best way, quite frankly, is truly just to get on our list to see what that looks like, to see what a woman who is in command of her voice actually looks like, because I think a lot of times that can inspire you to find your own. So hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If what I was talking about with respect to the emotional state of women entrepreneurs, if that's where you are at, I am with you, sister. I get it. I understand. Just know that you're not alone. All right. Have a wonderful day. Talk soon. Today's episode of Power Presence Position is sponsored by the podcast I'm a Millionaire, So Now What? With Colleen O'Connell Campbell. Colleen O'Connell Campbell is a brilliant financial advisor for entrepreneurs. She is a longtime client, and her show, I'm a Millionaire, So Now What? Covers inspirational stories and practical advice for self-made millionaires in the making. And as a woman entrepreneur, she really understands the work of building wealth, of retaining wealth, and of investing wealth in a way that is meaningful to you. Go check out the show. If you love this show, then you will love even more my missives, i.e. my emails. If you're not on my email list yet, I strongly encourage you to sign up at leanorbeatoncom/join. Now, when you go and sign up for my email list, you will quickly discover why some of the most popular, well-known, and influential voices in the world of women's entrepreneurship quietly, studiously, consistently open every single email I send out, because they want to be inspired, they want to be entertained, and also I think they really want to connect with a woman like myself who's in full command of her voice and is willing to open up and share her thinking, her ideas, and her story. I promise you that on this email list, you are going to be entertained. You are going to hear really valuable tips about stepping into your power as a leader. And you're also going to get fun insight that I do not share anywhere else. Go to leanorbeaton.com/join. And I promise you it will be the highlight of your inbox.